This is Father Andrew Ritchie, and you're listening to Catholic Inspiration, a podcast from my website at studyprayserve.com. These homilies, presentations, and retreats form part of my ministry as a Catholic priest for the Diocese of Superior. And now I invite you to open your hearts to some Catholic inspiration. Today is Wednesday of the 18th week of the year. Our psalm response is actually taken from the book of the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 31, verses 10 through 13. It follows on the first reading, which is Jeremiah chapter 31, verses 1 to 7. Listen to this response and these words taken from Jeremiah today. The Lord will guard us as a shepherd guards his flock. Hear the word of the Lord, O nations. Proclaim it on distant isles and say, He who scattered Israel now gathers them together. He guards them as a shepherd his flock. The Lord shall ransom Jacob. He shall redeem him from the hand of his conqueror. Shouting, they shall mount the heights of Zion. They shall come streaming to the Lord's blessings. Then the virgins shall make merry and dance, young men and old as well. I will turn their mourning into joy. I will console and gladden them after their sorrows. The Lord will guard us as a shepherd guards his flock. Now, this good news is following from what we heard yesterday, Jeremiah giving hope in the face of the people's suffering and pain. There is hope in this book of the prophet Jeremiah. You're getting it here today. And chapter 31 really is a bright spot. It's meant to give us this sense that, okay, we can pull through the darkest days and the most difficult times when we follow the Lord our shepherd, who guards us like a shepherd would guard the flock. The Lord guards us from all of the trials and all of the sufferings and all of the pains that this world can inflict. And when we have been inflicted by those pains, can heal us, restore us, and make broken things whole and suffering raised up into newness of life. But there's a challenge and there's a consolation here. The consolation, of course, is the Lord is in control. The Lord is our shepherd. The Lord is the one in whom we put our trust. And the Lord is victorious. That's great, good news. Here's the flip side. Will we listen to the shepherd? Will we follow? You might recall that yesterday I mentioned this pattern that happens in salvation history. The people are doing fine, then they fall away from the Lord, they fall astray, they sin, then all sorts of problems happen. Then the Lord raises someone up, a shepherd, a judge, a prophet, to get them back on track. They get back on track, things are fine for a while, and then they drift away again. And the cycle repeats itself. When we follow the shepherd, we're on solid ground. When we fail to follow the shepherd, oh boy, friends, let's be honest. You know, how often have we seen it happen where, like a little child, especially in those, terrible 2s or 3s where there's that, they're forming a personhood, they're forming a sense of self, and they won't accept help. I can do it by myself. Now, don't get me wrong, we have to grow. But oftentimes, not only do we have to learn how to receive help, we also have to learn that sometimes certain tasks require that help. Yes, we need to be able to do things by ourselves, absolutely. However, do we recognize that we can't do it all? Sometimes we need to turn to the shepherd who will guard us and protect us and feed us and nourish us and lead us. Maybe to places where we don't think we want to go, but they're the places we need to be. And so today, friends, really the invitation is, in light of this first reading from Jeremiah chapter 31, verses 1 to 7, and now these following verses, 10, 11, and 12, and 13, we follow the Lord. We follow Jesus Christ. And when we do, we'll be given the grace we need to carry on. When we don't follow the Lord, things blow up. Things go sideways. Things get nasty. And we have no hope. For our hope is in the Lord. Our trust is in Jesus Christ. That really is our good news. the recognition that God made this world, the recognition that through sin the world is broken, the recognition that God has a solution, and that's Jesus, who died and rose to restore us. And finally, the recognition that we have a response. We can follow the shepherd, or we can go on our own path. But the shepherd knows the way, and the shepherd loves us. And out of love, the shepherd longs to lead us into those beautiful pastures, those beautiful places where we can grow. Is there anything in our life right now that's kind of tempting us to say, I'm going to do it on my own. I'm going to do it my own way. I'm not going to ask God for help. I'm not going to ask anyone for help. That might start a bit of a bell clanging in the back of our brain. Say, maybe I ought to rethink that. Maybe I ought to turn to the shepherd. Maybe I ought to turn to the Lord, who guards us as a shepherd guards his flock. God bless you all. This is Father Andrew Ritchie, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of Catholic Inspiration. These homilies, podcasts, presentations, and retreats are part of my ministry. And folks, if you found it helpful, please feel free to share my podcast with someone you know and love in the hopes that it will help them in their journey of faith. And you can help me if you just go back to your podcast engine and write me a rating and a review. I keep all my listeners in my daily prayers, and I ask that you remember me in yours as well. God bless you, my friends.